Hey everyone, welcome to Judging for the Win. I'm Dave, and this is my daily ruling. Today's question was suggested by a viewer. Thanks to Rich for this one. Amy controls a Crazed Goblin and a Silent Arbiter. Amy wants to attack with just Silent Arbiter. Is this possible? Alright, just like when you're casting a spell, anytime you declare attackers, the game has a specific series of steps that you have to follow in a certain order. So for our purposes, the important parts of that procedure would be, first, you have to say which creatures that you want to attack with. After that, the game takes a look at those creatures and determines whether or not it constitutes a valid set of attacking creatures. If so, then it'll pass you through to the next step, and if not, it'll push you back to having to declare a new set of attacking creatures. So what does the game look for when it's deciding whether a set of creatures that you proposed is a valid set of attacking creatures or not? And the answer to that question is the game looks at two specific things. The game checks to see if there's any restrictions and any requirements on the creatures that you control for whether they have to attack. Now, a restriction is something like what you see on the Silent Arbiter. It says that something cannot happen, and it's not possible legally for you to break even one restriction. So that would mean that it's not possible for Amy to attack with the Crazed Goblin and the Silent Arbiter. That would be breaking the restriction that the Silent Arbiter has. On the other hand, if you take a look at Crazed Goblin, that has a requirement. A requirement says that something must happen. And the rule is, the game checks to see if your set of attacking creatures satisfies the most possible number of requirements without breaking any restrictions. So let's take a look at how that would work with the situation that we had in the original problem statement. Let's notice that if we attack with just the Crazed Goblin, that would mean that we're satisfying one requirement, namely the one on Crazed Goblin itself, that says that it has to attack. On the other hand, if we were to attack with no creatures, or if we were to attack with just Silent Arbiter, well, those would not satisfy any requirements at all. And so that means that attacking with just the Crazed Goblin is the set of attackers that satisfies the most possible number of requirements without violating any restrictions. Now, that was pretty straightforward and easy to do since there were just two attacking creatures. It wasn't too bad to just check all of the four possible combinations of whether either of them attacked and just brute force our way through it. On the other hand, if you got a little bit more creatures or more restrictions and requirements, then you are going to quickly come into a situation where it gets a little bit more complicated. And in fact, it might be possible that there's multiple different possible things that you could do where you satisfy the same number of requirements. So if that sort of situation were to happen, then you could pick any of those arrangements would be a legal set of attacking creatures, just so long as there isn't another set of attacking creatures that you could have picked where you would be satisfying more requirements without breaking any restrictions. So for example, let's imagine if Amy had the Silent Arbiter, but now she has two Crazed Goblins. So both of them will have a requirement that says that they have to attack. However, it's not possible to attack with both of the Crazed Goblins and still be satisfying the restriction that the Silent Arbiter places on us. Therefore, we would have a situation where only one of the Crazed Goblins would be able to attack. That's the most number of creatures that we can attack with without violating any of the restrictions. Again, we would not be able to attack with the Silent Arbiter because attacking with the Silent Arbiter doesn't satisfy any requirements, whereas there are some attacking situations where we would be satisfying one, namely if we were to attack with a Crazed Goblin. We could attack with either one of the two Crazed Goblins, both of those would be satisfying exactly one requirement, which is the most that it's possible to do. But that's all I have for you today. How did you do? Join me again next time for another daily ruling, but until then, I hope you have a great day.